Our speaker today is Ms. Kathy Hughes, Distinguished Toastmaster, is a Founders District Club Growth Director with a dream job this year of supporting and building up membership in all clubs, both new and existing. Kathy joined Toastmasters in October 2011 and has served in many club and district leadership roles along the way. Please welcome Kathy Hughes.
Thank you everyone for being here today. Allow me to bring up my slide deck and hopefully you can see my screen, and I'm going to put it into presentation mode. Welcome to the Club Coaches, Sponsors, and Mentors training brought to you by the Club Growth team. Besides myself, helping me through this presentation is going to take the other members of the team listed here: Brenda Scher, John Hardowitz, Jean Cassidy, Shiva Bachu, and Paul Fay. We have two parts to our session to cover club coaches, club sponsors, and club mentors. We're going to do club coaches in the first half. We'll do club sponsors and mentors in the second half. So Club Coaches presentation will be brought to you by Kathy, Brenda, and John. And we'll talk about the Club Coach program. What is it? We'll talk about club coaches. Who is a club coach? What's their personality? What do they do? How are they achieving their criteria of success? And we'll learn about the Club Coach troubleshooting guide and go through an activity. In the following half, we'll talk about the club sponsors and club mentors. We'll talk about them both together. That'll be brought to you by Jean, Paul, and Shiva. They will talk about the benefits that sponsors and mentors have, why chartering clubs is important, types of clubs, and duties of sponsors and mentors, as well as Julie, our tech master, is going to be putting some resources for you in the chat at a couple of points during our meeting today. And there'll be a Q&A session at the end. So without further ado, let's get started, shall we?
Okay, so the question is, how does being a club mentor, sponsor, or coach relate to getting the Distinguished Toastmaster Award? For the Pathways DTM Award, you complete 2 unique learning paths, serve as a club officer for 12 months, serve as a club mentor or a club coach, serve as a club sponsor or conduct a speech craft or conduct a youth leadership program, serve as a district officer for 1 year, complete the DTM project, and then you have your Pathways DTM.
How do we identify clubs that need help? Well, as you can see by this slide, we are targeting the clubs that have under 12 members or less. They're in the red zone, and we want to help convert those to yellow and hopefully green, strong, distinguished clubs.
The Club Coach program has some eligibility requirements for the club itself. It must have a membership of 1 to 12. That means it's a low member club. And there's a process by which the club and the club coach both have to agree. There's the handshake between them. The club accepts the club coach. The club coach is anxious and excited to work with that club. When we've got that agreement, then the appointment of the club coach can take place by the club growth director. That's me. The support for new club coaches is provided by the club growth team. Any of us here today, we're there to support you. One of the things that we'll support you with is this club coach troubleshooting guide that I already mentioned a little bit, and Julie will be putting in the chat for us. The club coach training, like the training we'll have today, as well as roundtables where club coaches can get together and exchange ideas, as well as, don't forget, you have a resource in the area director for that new club, because the area director wants that club to succeed just as much as you, that club coach, wants your struggling club to become a strong club.
I'm sure you're wondering, are you eligible to be a club coach? You need to be experienced and a knowledgeable Toastmaster, and I'm assuming each one of you in the room is one of those. You're working the Pathways program because you're going to be able to share the insights on how to complete levels, how to submit level completions, and you're going to support others. This is a very important one. You cannot currently be a member of the club. Please remember that. You need to be a coach of a club you're not a member of. And did you know that up to 2 coaches can be appointed to one club? You don't have to do it all by yourself.
That's right. That club coach program, though, has a validity of 2 program years. It includes the year of appointment, and that program year is ending on June 30th, the first year you're appointed, but you have a whole second year to be a successful club coach. You can be reappointed, and that gives you a little bit longer to make that club successful in the criteria of the club coach program. Now let's talk about how we define a club coach. What it absolutely is not is a single-handed savior of a club. You want the club to want to save themselves. And you, as a club coach, will be the source of the tools and the resources that the club needs in order to save themselves. That's the difference.
I'm sure you were wondering what the criteria is to be a successful club coach. You want to add 5 or more members to your club's base membership. So let's say your club is at 11. You want to convert that to at least 16 or more members. You're going to help them achieve 5 or more distinguished club program goals. And you're going to identify with them the easy ones they can accomplish, as well as the pathways levels and goals. Ideally, you can achieve that by June 30th of this year or of the following year, as Kathy previously mentioned. And then that trophy, that virtual trophy, is yours.
And Brenda, that criteria is so important, but sometimes people are a little daunted by all the responsibilities of a club coach and are asking this important question: what's in it for me? Well, what's in it for you is the personal growth in your job skills, in your skills in relationships and with people personally. You will derive skills that are transferable from being a club coach, which in and of itself is a great leadership experience.
You, as a club coach, you wear so many hats. You're going to be a cheerleader. You help build that club's enthusiasm. You unite the officers, the members, the guests, all working together as one team. Your objective, because sometimes the club has lost sight of maybe the issues that are going on in their struggling club. You're able, meaning you come with a lot of knowledge, experience. You're not the savior, but you're there to help lead them become more dynamic. You're confident, you're not cocky, so you really come with a lot of enthusiasm, optimism. And lastly, you're helpful no matter what is needed. So if they need a role filled, whatever they need, you are going to be there to support them with a variety of resources.
What does a club coach do? Well, a lot, quite a lot. You'll be busy the year or 2 years as a club coach. You'll be doing things like attending the club meetings regularly, showing them how to use a club success plan, moments of truth, things like that, and using that club coach troubleshooting guide to help them find their problems and address them.
We're leading up to our group activity today. This is one of my favorite slides. It's the club leads into the club coach troubleshooting guide. We've identified some of the ways that clubs can go askew. The first is ego, ergo, they go. I don't know if you are familiar with a club where there's somebody who takes control of the club, and next thing you know, you've got members disappearing. The long decline, you go from 22 members to 16, and now all of a sudden you're at 9. A series of small jolts. Sometimes it takes a big jolt, like the pandemic that shook up all of the clubs, which leads to location, location, location. We are facing this with so many of our clubs, whether they choose to be virtual, hybrid, or face-to-face. I'm sorry to say we still have some pathways naysayers. And then lastly, when bad things happen to not just good clubs, but bad things happen to great clubs.
Well, that is true, but there is a way to fix it. And the Club Coach Troubleshooting Guide is one way that you can do this. This section that will be audience participation is about using the Club Coach Troubleshooting Guide. And also we'll have some opportunities to hear some real life success stories. In the Club Coach Troubleshooting Guide, you want to look for the things that you can address. We know the club's struggling. So look at the right side of the troubleshooting guide I put a little sad face there, but that's the traits of a particular component of club success that would need to be addressed. If the club is earning a low score on the 1 to 5 ranking, in your opinion, as a club coach, if you rank them a 1 or a 2, you want to look at the corrective action that is required to get them back up to a 4 or 5. For instance, corrective action on the last one is based on the fact that this criteria was ranked as a 2. So this club needed to improve in that area. Julie, I think, has loaded the Club Coach Troubleshooting Guide into the chat, and I encourage everyone to open that up now, because I have some scenarios of some fictitious clubs, and I'll talk to scenario number 1 first. Let me tell you, you can use the Club Coach Troubleshooting Guide to answer this question, or you can use your own personal experience to answer this question. And at the end, I'll tell you what we picked as the best answer off the troubleshooting guide and see if it matches. So struggling club scenario number 1, you've been appointed as club coach for the fictitious club, Seat of Our Pants Toastmasters Club. Over the years, they've declined in membership to just 12. And after you attended their meeting, you were very concerned that the speakers were not prepared. In fact, they showed up to give speeches they hadn't even practiced for. What corrective actions in 1 to 2 minute response will you recommend to that club using the Club Coach Troubleshooting Guide or not? Do I have a hand raised?
There's a hand raised. There's several hand raises.
Okay.
Yeah, Marley has his virtual hand raised.
I
saw
see.
her first.
Okay, Marley, go ahead.
Hi.
Tell us what you would do. This
It's a
struggling
great
club.
it's a great opportunity for the coach to appoint, to have some trainings done for these people. Maybe they are not aware and they have not seen the world outside their cocoon. So first I will talk to them and tell them you're doing great, but I have some good ideas where you can do better, and provide them suitable trainings. As a professional trainer, I can give, but as a district, we have team of people, trainers who will come and help them just to show what is pathways and how they can even do the basics of pathways like base camps, and then tell them, encourage them to follow them. And once their actions are seen into positive action, they themselves will encourage new friends and members, relatives, and bring them. So this is what first thing I will do. Over to you, Kathy.
All those things are great ideas, and there's often more than one right answer to this question. And the one that I picked off the Club Coach Troubleshooting Guide is this. It said that the speech preparation was hasty or inadequate, and the corrective action that's recommended on the troubleshooting guide is to find role models to aid you in convincing members that thorough preparation is the key to self-improvement. So, sounds like pretty much you've said that. Okay. And then we have a second club scenario for another volunteer. You've been appointed as the club coach for a struggling club with only 10 members. After attending their club meeting, you were disappointed to see the speech evaluations given were all didn't have suggestions for future improvements. You wondered if this was why club members were unsatisfied with their educational program. This fictitious club is named People Pleasers Toastmasters. What corrective actions will you recommend to the club? Show of hands, David Tiscarino.
Hello, yes. So for this problem, we have people who are just trying to make people happy instead of giving them good constructive feedback so that they can improve, which is the whole point of Toastmasters. So the way I would solve this problem is I would want to ensure that they have some kind of role model for a speech evaluator, which could be myself. I could even give a speech on how to properly evaluate. And give an example, maybe show up to one of the clubs and ask to participate as an evaluator. And through these different demonstrations, it will help the members of the club understand what it is we are looking for in evaluations for a Toastmaster.
Yes, so true. And this is the section of the Club Coach Troubleshooting Guide that says that corrective action, and you gave some additional examples of other things that could be added to that. Programs like The Art of Effective Evaluation or Evaluate to Motivate are good.
Okay.
We'll move to real life scenarios with Brenda.
Yes, we actually have a couple of real life scenarios where the first one, Paul and Gloria are going to briefly share how they took a club that was an ineligible club, meaning they had 8 members or less, to becoming now a viable back in club in good standing. Paul and Gloria, if you don't mind taking a couple of minutes to share your success story.
No, I don't mind at all. Gloria, if you don't mind, I'm just going to go first. I'd like to say that I joined this club about a year ago. I remember when it was a very robust club, and COVID notwithstanding, it did fall on some hard times with attrition of membership, and it got down below the 8. In fact, and I don't mind sharing this, Gloria won't mind, the club actually got itself suspended, unfortunately. Well, it's now back with a vengeance. We are now over the 8. And Gloria, would you like to share how, because this really is Gloria's feather in her cap, because she was the one that really brought the club back. So Gloria, over to you. I've left you a minute.
Thank you, Paul. I wish I could take the credit as you mentioned. However, it's not true that Paul is really the cheerleader. He came to the meeting so frequently encourage us, even though sometimes we have only 3 members attending a meeting, but he showed up, prepared, gave speeches, and also gave us a good encouragement statement saying this club is small but mighty. And slowly, one by one, whoever visited, they feel it's a great club to join. So we will be able to get back to the 8 required. And then we submit the request through the TI. Now it's reinstated as in good standing. And of course, other members that remain with this small mighty club were the key members that never give up, because every time we want to fold the club, there's always somebody show up to encourage us. So we keep going. We never cancel any weekly meeting, no matter how many members showed up. And that's made it happen. Thank you again, Paul and others supporting the club.
Paul
My
and
pleasure.
Gloria?
Well done.
Paul and Gloria, great. And I know that you followed up on membership. So I know that was a key piece. We're going to move on for brevity and time to our next real life scenario. This one is a little different. They are still in good standing, but they are seeking a club coach. And they've been around. They're a 3-digit club, for those of you who know what that means. Lillian, can you share your plea with us, with your situation and what you are looking for from everybody today?
Yes, thank you, Brenda. Our club has been around since 1978. We just actually celebrated our 44th year.
Sweet.
Unfortunately, we're hoping to celebrate our 45th year, and that's why we need a club coach. Because we always ebbed and flow. With our membership, we are a nightly Monday club, so we just, sometimes it would go down, and then we would have our open houses and work hard to get that 20 members again. So we've been here before, but it's never been this bad, and with COVID. So we're still on Zoom. It's just really challenging because even though we have 9 on paper, only about 2 of us, maybe 3 of us show up for the meetings. We've had attrition as far as someone had a health concern, and so they had to drop out. Another one had work, they had to drop out. And then the rest of us that are still attending have our own stresses that are just limit our time. And so we really do need a club coach to just kind of help work with us, maybe get a little bit new perspective on what's going on, maybe help us, excite us with some ideas about where we can go. There's a lot of things. This is 165, it's in Founders District. So this is, we really do need a club coach just to kind of help us get there, because we've been here before and we got out of it as well. But with COVID, it does get this extra layer. And like I said, we're trying to get to the 45th year, because I know as soon as we get excited and we get those members going, I know we can do well. That's why we would really appreciate a club coach.
Okay, Lillian, I think you did a great job of pleading why club coaches are needed, and especially for your club. This concludes the club coach presentation portion today, and we're going to be moving on to the club mentors and club sponsors portion of our presentation.
Thank you, Brenda. And that was a great a couple of scenarios to help us understand the struggles the clubs experience. Here now we'll be speaking about sponsors and mentors. So as we covered in the beginning of the presentation, we will talk about why it's important to charter new clubs, benefits for sponsors and mentors, the types of clubs, and then club sponsors, mentors, duties, and some resources. So why do we need to charter new clubs? Well, we got to keep the juices flowing, and we want to add, as we want to celebrate the experiences we had in Toastmasters, we want to pass that on to the next generation in a sense. So sharing our experiences is helpful for that. We want to encourage leadership opportunities in the year that are rebounding club growth. So we just continue to progress and grow as an organization in Founders District. We also want to provide diversity of clubs, meaning that, maybe we have a club that's a wine tasting club, and that's an evening club, versus a different type of club for business people that meets at 7 a.m. in Irvine, Spectrum area, or something like that. So it's catering to different types of people looking for different types of club cultures, so we can appeal to wider audiences. We also want to offset the attrition of declining clubs. As we might have known about, we lose about 1/4 of our membership. So in the same way, we would lose clubs. So we want to keep not revenue, but bringing new clubs in, so we can keep that moving forward.
Is this me again? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just realized.
This is your slide, Paul.
I know. I just realized I was muted and you weren't hearing a thing I said. Now, what are the benefits of sponsors and mentors? Well, they are quite complicated, but to keep it simple with bullet points, you're going to be developing soft skills. A lot of us are very good about the technical side of life, but soft skills are so vitally important. You want to develop and share expertise, obtain fresh perspectives, build teamwork skills, and increase speech opportunities. Leadership, it's not just about speaking, so leadership is vitally important. Demonstrate your value as a team leader. Develop project management skill set, and expand your marketing expertise. This is all about selling Toastmasters. Now, I think we can all agree, and somebody famous once said, that you learn best in moments of enjoyment. I know that's true for me, and I have fun at every meeting I attend. I enjoy the uplifting experience. I celebrate the fun of accomplishment. It means a lot to my membership. And then what about Toastmasters specific benefits? You'll be investing in the future of Toastmasters, paying it forward, if you will. And by doing so, you're going to receive credit towards the Pathway DTM requirement. This type of thing helps in your day-to-day personal and work life as well.
So you want to be a sponsor, but what does a sponsor do? We're going to look at that really quickly. A sponsor is responsible for helping to organize the new club, helping by setting up the meetings, getting the agenda going, and getting functionaries to fill that agenda, getting people who can actually act as role models to show new members and potential members what it is to be a Toastmaster. You, as a sponsor, would follow leads and generate interest and enthusiasm. This is all before a club charter. So it's really important to be able to have that energy and excitement to help others then bring their friends and family in. You would help recruit members, as well as help others recruit members. Unfortunately, there is paperwork involved, and the sponsor's job is to correctly fill out the paperwork. But I want to really emphasize the fact that you're not doing this alone. It's all about a team. You're not going to be on your own, even though you'll be the one responsible as the sponsor. You're not going to be doing it on your own. One of the nice things about being a sponsor is that you can too become a charter member, and that gives you those bragging rights of being a charter member. And then toward the end, once you've chartered, part of the fun is getting that chartering ceremony done. That's a fun part. All right, so that's what a sponsor does. What does a mentor do? Now we're talking about a club mentor of a newly chartered club. And that is someone who is going to stay with the club after the charter for, we'd like to say for a year. And there you're going to share your expertise and your knowledge with club officers and other members. You want to make sure that you're leaving the club on a really strong footing and that they are fully functional and get them up and running as quickly as you can. You learn to work with your officers so that they know that what their duties are, and you ensure that they have the resources and the tools that they need to do their jobs correctly. And again, it's a year-long commitment where you will support the club for the entire year. Did you know, though, that when you're establishing a new club, again, you don't do it alone. Toastmasters has made it so that we can have 2 sponsors, 2 mentors. You can bring in guest speakers. You can bring in your fellow Toastmasters and the fabulous district team leaders that we have out there in Founders District to help you with your club demo meetings. You can make them part of your team. But again, you're not doing it alone. So how do you do it? Well, first of all, you have to identify the type of club that you want. Is it going to be a corporate club, which means that it's something that would be part potentially of a business or some kind of a workplace environment? Or is it going to be a community club, something that's done outside of the corporate environment? And then in addition to that, have you decided whether or not you want to have some kind of special interests? As Shiva mentioned earlier, is it going to be a dinner club, a breakfast club, or something in between? And the other consideration is it going to be an advanced club where possibly you have advanced Toastmasters who will be the primary members for that club? The next thing you want to do is to plan a demonstration meeting. You would assemble a demo team and then secure the venue. Even if it means at this point in time, the venue is on Zoom. And you want to make sure you get the word out, publicize that meeting, contact your local Chamber of Commerce, display your banners and posters and announcements, and use social media.
Well, that's very informative. And now, after getting all the steps together for chartering a club, you want to fill out all the paperwork. Okay, I see there's a lot of paperwork and that can be scary, but the club growth team is here to help. Before I joined the club growth team, we had a club that was chartering in our division. And our area director told me, oh, the team did all the paperwork for me and it was so easy. Okay, maybe we're not doing all the paperwork for you, but it'll be a lot more easier. Okay, now we want to make sure we have quality club meetings. And how does that happen? That is really focusing on ensuring the new members and the officers of the charter club are understanding how to run good meetings. So when we have a good meeting, then you're going to have people that come to your meeting. So that is a big aspect of being a member, a mentor, or a sponsor. So we're giving them the tools, preparing for club meetings, like assigning all the roles, getting all the agendas out, is our Zoom link working or a hybrid situation working, and getting to what we need. And also looking at tools as Easy Speak and other tracking systems to help with role assignment. So ultimately, we're creating a member service perspective, which is the members are going to enjoy the meeting, then they're going to keep wanting to come.
Paul, you're wrapping it up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here I am. I'm in La La Land today. I beg your pardon. Been on the call since 8. Build and maintain membership. Now, this is critically important. One of the reasons that we need to attract new members on a constant basis is because we do lose members through attrition, a variety of reasons. Corporate clubs, people leave the business, they move out, or they fulfill their goals. So you want to respond immediately to a potential guest. If you have a guest in a room, Don't let them slip through your fingers. Make sure we follow up with them, a phone call, whatever, an email. Use different methods to recruit guests to attend. There are so many different ways to do that. Develop a culture of member retention. You know, longevity in Toastmasters obviously speaks for itself. We're coming up on our 100th anniversary, and it's not always been easy. And right now we're having a tough time because of COVID and what have you. So it's important that we perform. Everyone in the club is responsible for maintaining membership. Doesn't fall on the VPE or the VP membership. Build a fellowship, a healthy community interaction. Most clubs have this, and the struggling clubs usually don't. So a strong club is a healthy club. You've got to have strong leadership. That sets the tone for the club. Club membership contests. We have an ongoing membership contest in one of my clubs. It's a modest, but it's Starbucks gift certificates. And we vie to see who can bring more members to each of our meetings. You want to foster a membership of culture building, or building culture. Easy for me to say. Everyone in the club should be doing their bit to build membership. Remember, you became a member because someone invited you. And I've always said that one of the reasons I'm now celebrating my 11th year at Toastmasters is because I'm still having fun. And fun is what makes the club thrive. Organized meetings and have fun.
That concludes the sponsors and mentors part of the presentation, and we're going to go into question and answer session. But by popular request, I put a little slide at the end here for you to take a look at. Club sponsor, mentor, and coach in a nutshell. How do you tell the difference between one and the next and the next? Well, club sponsor helps establish the new club, and club mentor helps that new club get functional. Whereas a club coach helps get an existing club that's struggling back up to distinguished and status and ready to thrive.
Kathy, April had a really great question in the chat. She was wondering about the paperwork. Can it be done digitally, or do we have to print it all out and fax it like the old days? So April, we do, they are PDF writable documents, so we can fill it out digitally online and be emailed. So Kathy, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, one of the forms is automatable, and I've learned that recently that the actual charter member application form is already possible to do it via a Google document that's shared. And I've just learned of that recently from a fellow club growth director. I don't know if he's on. Hovey, are you here, Hovey? No, but I've learned that, and I have some anticipation that the other forms, form number 1, application to organize, is available online. That's been available online for a while, but some of the other forms are not yet. They probably will be very soon.
Also heard of a club summarizing their member list in a spreadsheet to make it faster at Toastmasters.
That's true. Thank you for bringing that up, John. The application forms that members fill out and sign and put, payment or whatever, that never goes to Toastmasters International World Headquarters. It remains the property of the club. So your club secretary probably will be the one retaining those club charter applications. What TI World Headquarters needs is the equivalent entered into a spreadsheet. It's a lot easier to put a lot of data into one spreadsheet than to handle 20 or 30 charter member applications one by one and send them by email to Toastmasters.
Kathy, Paul Brown has his hand raised.
Go ahead, Paul.
Hi, Kathy. I was wondering, can a person sponsor a club and then once the club is formed, become the club mentor?
Well, that's a great question. I've never actually seen it in practice, but I don't know of any exclusivity unless anyone on the call that has seen that. I believe in either the sponsor or the mentor, there's up to 6 months to tell TI World headquarters who's assigned in those positions.
I was taught at one point that it was supposed to be separate, but I haven't seen it actually in writing anywhere saying you could not.
Yeah, I've never
like
seen it
separate.
Can I
happen.
come in,
I've
Kathy?
seen different people. And
Yeah, you have a larger team to support the club if you have 2 sponsors and 2 mentors.
Kathy, can I come in?
Yeah.
Yes,
we
go
can
ahead,
hear you now,
Marley.
Hello, this is Murali Manohar, and this 6 months is not the time. It is only 2 months from the time of chartering. The club has to nominate either the sponsor or the mentor. The question is whether the club sponsor can become a member. Yes, he can become a member, and the club sponsor role stops once the club is chartered. Mentor is for a period of 6 months, but it doesn't mean that they kick off the bucket after 6 months. They'll have to be there to make sure, support them for the 1 year to make sure all the people, they know their role plays and achieve their goals. And
Okay, let me clarify really quick for you, Marley. Both the club sponsor, either of the 2 club sponsors and the 2 mentors, all 4 of those people can become members of the club if the club is an open club. And that's the criteria. But the sponsor and the mentor should be different people, since Julie pointed out, and obviously we want the largest amount of people supporting that club so that they can be achieving their maximum success and not folding after 1 year because they didn't quite know how to make their club a really sustainable club.
I just would like to differ with you because I was a club sponsor and I was a club mentor, and that is possible, but the integrity has to be done. But a sponsor and a mentor can be the same person, and in my own case, I have been there.
Very good. And 6 months is technically the minimum amount of time a mentor must stay with the club. It's the minimum. We in this district recommend that the club really needs you to be involved, maybe in some slightly reduced capacity after 6 months, but you need to be involved with them for that first year to get them over into that first renewal cycle, which is confusing for a lot of clubs that are new clubs.
Kathy,
I saw a hand raised. Was it?
Deborah had her hand raised at one point. I don't know if her question got answered. Deborah, do you still have your question?
Oh, thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Kathy. I just wanted to, Paul's question with regard to the sponsor and mentor being the same person. I have seen that in District 81. I'm from Grenada, and I've seen it happen on several occasions.
That's good. That's good to know, because you could get a member that is trying to achieve their DTM 2 credits for 1 club, but try to get 4 different people because it's better for the club.
Okay.
And raised hands, anyone else out there?
AJ has her hand raised.
Yeah,
okay.
AJ.
Thanks. I had a question because of the phrase, the district does not get involved in club business. So when we're talking about a new club where the sponsors have done all the paperwork, the new club has chartered, the sponsors have now stepped step aside and the mentors now step in to get the club trained up, the officers trained, et cetera, et cetera. Is it appropriate for the district to be asking questions of the new club officers directly, such as I had a new club where the president was sent an email from the district wanting the names and phone numbers of all the people who were not signed up for Pathways?
I don't know that that would be appropriate behavior to ask for names and phone numbers at the district level, but certainly it is something that we encourage and try to remind the clubs to do that. Get them to send people to training to learn how to do that.
Yeah, so I think part of the problem is we want to make sure that the new club gets off on a great start, but only the club can see who has enrolled in Pathways. So I'm sure from the district level, they had good intentions of, I want to reach out and I want to help them. But I can see where it would come across as very heavy-handed, as in, I want to get them started now. Why aren't you doing it? But I think that's probably why the district was looking for who has not, so they can help them get enrolled and get started on that path.
Well, again, as the sponsor, I would have expected that the district would have contacted the sponsor and asked the sponsor what was going on. When this letter went directly to the new club president, the club president came back to the sponsor and said, "What's this all about?" And the sponsor
Sponsors and the mentors should be the ones frontline handling those kind of things.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to get that clarification.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The three of them should be working together.
Right.
But I will weigh in. That's my assumption on why the district reached out. They obviously should work with, those that are there to support the club, but that's likely. They likely had no ill intention there.
We have a few minutes remaining of our Q&A, and I love that there's a lot of questions. Anyone else?
Paul Brown has his hand raised again.
Oh, go ahead, Paul.
Thank you. I was wondering, can we get a copy of this PowerPoint presentation? I think this would be really useful to use as a reference as we go through the process of being either a club sponsor or a club mentor.
Sure. All of the resources are made on a shared Google link, and Julie can make that available. I don't have a problem with it. Do you want to put that in the chat, or is that?
I'll drop that.
Appropriate?
Okay. Just a second.
And April has her hand raised, Kathy.
Go ahead, April.
Thank you, Kathy. As an area director, I have that temperament of where I love the reports that we have available to us at my founders district. I want to sort of say that out loud to commend everyone who's made that available to us and who contributes to those so that we have them. I'm one of those obsessive sorts who then looks at, now that it's February, I'm looking at the list of the low membership clubs. One of them is not in my area, but is in kind of a sister area of mine. And I visited one of the clubs and I don't remember whose prerogative is it? Where is it appropriate? Is it only that the club president or officers says something to the district? Is it the area director gently drops a lead-weighted handkerchief to the club to suggest that they consider asking for a coach? Or is it that the district reaches out to the clubs with we saw your membership is low? Who's supposed to be and who's allowed to initiate?
As an area director, it is in your best interest to reach out to the struggling clubs in your own district. But also, as an area director and a Toastmasters member, you are encouraged to look at struggling clubs that you would like to see matched up with a club coach that maybe is yourself working toward your Distinguished Toastmaster Award. And I hope that I've inspired and that the team here today, the club growth team, have inspired you to want to become club coaches, club sponsors, or club mentors. Why not all three?
I'll offline a more particular question now because I've got a club where they're kind of waffling.
Okay.
Not to name names in public, no need.
I see Shiva has her hand up.
Yes, I do. And I just wanted to kind of reinforce that, we're all working together as a team. So, if April sees a club in my division and they need help or something, like reach out to me, let's talk about it, and I'll connect you with the area director. So it's just looking at it as a collaborative way to help each other and work together. We can achieve a lot. And so I think this is a great resource, and I'm excited that people are asking for the slides.
Yeah, it was partially actually about the club of where I wasn't sure if it was they were supposed to be asking us and I was supposed to wait, over by the dance wall.
Well, they might not even know there's coaches. Like I didn't know until I got into all of this.
Oh, they still don't get it.
So there you go.
I'll cite an example of something that has been done. The division director sent somebody from his personal club to another club to say, would you be interested in having a coach?
Well, there's nothing against us talking to each other, I suppose. It's all, it's all okay. But I noticed that there was a question in the chat from Daniel Fung. Did you want to speak to that? Or do you want me to read it?
Oh, I want to see if you, if it's true, then you can say it. But from what I remember when I was serving as a division director, we could run various report at the My District website and also the TI website, which included the pathway participation data that someone asked about earlier. So there's really no need for that leader to go and ask the club president to provide it. And it's actually
That's true. District leaders at a certain level have access to see that information. And so if there's any question.
Can do it. Right.
I agree with that statement. And that's why I asked the question, in that when it can be confusing to a new club, if you're mentoring that club, you're a representative of the district. And when the district comes through and starts sending communication directly to the president gets confused. They don't know what's going on. The mentor is just as confused because they don't know why this is going on. District certainly has access to all the information they could ever want. So why?
And this new club is confused by multiple voices, working with their sponsors and their mentors and their area director already. Let's not get them too confused with other people in the district.
Exactly. And the same is true of coaching. I wanted to underscore the fact that many times when a club is approached, when they hit that 12 number, all of a sudden an alarm goes off and the officers are getting emails from everybody and their mother saying, you need a coach, you need a coach. It's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? It can get worse if the EC or the president thinks that they're on some sort of direct communication with the district. So now the president says, oh, okay, fine, assign a coach. But the club did not authorize this. And I think it is absolutely critical that we underscore the fact that no EC can function in a vacuum, that this decision has to be made by the membership. And I really wish that the forms to assign a club coach required that signature at the bottom, that the officer representing the club confirms that this has been asked for a vote of the membership. But what happens is something out of nowhere, a club coach arrives, the membership is not ready for this. And the next thing you know, there is a serious problem between the coach and the club.
Right, and we can only lead the horse to water, right? So if they're not willing to do that, then it's
Okay, just really quickly, we are beyond the red light on our session, and I would love to keep this open for another half an hour, but I am respectful of the time of those of you that joined this meeting. Please save the chat. There are resources that have been downloaded for you that'll be valuable to you as a club coach, club sponsor, or club mentor. And all of these roles are very overlapping in a way that are any one of you in the audience is a future club coach or sponsor or mentor. And I encourage you to seek that out. And we're here to support you as a club coach team. Over to you, Stella.
Thank you, Kathy. Please give the team a round of applause. We hope you enjoyed this session today. To thank our speaker, please provide your feedback using the link in the chat that I dropped. Or if you missed it, when you close this session, the survey will pop out. Just fill it out. Thank you again. This is the last session of the day. See you again in June for our next LACE. And there are a lot of district events that I also put in the chat, so check it out and join us there. Thank you.